Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, I make nutrition, fitness, and travel videos. And today I thought we would just sit down and chat together. I have not done a video like this in a really long time, and I have a lot of things to update you on. So let's just hang out, grab a cup of tea, and sit down with me. I'm back home, if you've noticed, in my apartment in Montreal, and it's been such a long time since we've been here. A little over a year now that we spent in Europe. It's crazy, but traveling can sometimes be a little lonely. It's just been me and my boyfriend the whole time. You definitely miss your friends and family, and I'm just really happy to be back so that I can spend some time with them. And for the most part during this year, I've been able to train and keep my routine, except for the last month and a half. It was just a little too crazy and I really fell out of routine. And you've probably seen the title of this video, so without further ado, it's true. I actually stopped training for 6 weeks, which has been the longest break I've ever taken off the gym. I honestly can't believe it's been 6 weeks, and the more time passes by, the harder I feel it is to get back into routine. I always just kind of push it over. I'm like, oh, I'll go tomorrow. I don't feel good today. I have this thing to do. Oh, I'll start tomorrow. When you hear people say that starting is the hardest part, it really is. And even as someone that's been going to the gym for a while, I still struggle with this. You're probably wondering why I took such a long break in the first place, and the reason was because we were traveling a lot faster towards the end of our trip. We were visiting one of my favorite places in the world, Sardinia, and it just felt like a crime to be stuck in a gym when you could be outside on the beautiful beach. So I just decided to put the gym aside and enjoy all the time that I had and discover this beautiful place. After Sardinia, we took a ferry and drove all the way back to Bulgaria, where I spent some time with my family. And again, it just didn't feel like the right moment because I only had 3 weeks with them and I wanted to enjoy every second of it. And this is how my gym break just kept on getting bigger and bigger. And I honestly didn't feel like going to the gym just for 1 or 2 times because I would feel so sore starting over. But now, retrospectively, I really regret that because the comeback would have been so much easier if I would have just put the tiniest little effort to at least maintain my strength. But we'll talk about that a bit later. I think the one thing that's been really important though while taking this break is that although I didn't go to the gym, I didn't like throw my habits out the window. I'm still eating fairly healthy and eating enough protein and getting some type of exercise in. This is the first time actually that I go back to Bulgaria and not gain weight. I feel like it took me so many tries before I can figure this out, but usually my family just cooks all of the high calorie, delicious foods that I used to eat as a kid, and then I just indulge, come back about 5 pounds heavier. And I think what I did different this time is really try to listen to my hunger signals instead of just stuffing my face and always finishing all the food. I really stopped eating when I felt full. The good thing was also that my appetite adjusted, so because I wasn't doing so much exercise, I wasn't lifting weights, I was also less hungry, and that really helped me stay on track. The other surprising thing for me was that suddenly I didn't need to sleep as much. I've always been a big sleeper and I have no problem falling asleep, and I realized that this is largely due to the fact that I go to the gym. I think my body just needs to recover, so I need a good 8 hours of sleep. But now that I wasn't working out and I wasn't sore, I could get away with something like 6 to 7 hours easily, and I didn't really feel that tired. Not to say that that's how much I slept. I still slept my 8 hours because obviously I was with my grandparents, aunt and uncle, who are all retired, so they're on a really relaxing schedule, and so I also was on a really relaxing schedule. But in terms of physical changes, I think maybe about half a week to 1 week in, I definitely started to feel more flat. I no longer had a pump, so my muscles just looked a lot smaller. And that was just due to not having as much water retention or inflammation in my body. But it can sometimes account up to 20% of how big your muscle looks, and it's a big change when you're used to seeing your muscles big and fluffy if you want. Now suddenly you just look really flat. But I knew that at that point I hadn't really lost any muscle. It's just all mental. Honestly, in the first 2-3 weeks you're not really going to lose that much muscle. It's more if you prolong that break like I did that you might, and especially depending on your diet and how much exercise you're still doing. Which is why I mentioned previously that I wished I would have went to the gym at least a couple times a week. Even 1 time a week would have been sufficient to kind of maintain my muscle mass the whole time. It's really mind-blowing that you need minimal effort to maintain muscle, but if you want to build new muscle, it just takes so much more time and effort. So that's definitely one thing that I would have changed if I would go back. Honestly, overall, other than looking a bit flat, I don't think I saw that much change in the 6 weeks. When we got back, I had less inflammation, my weight was down, I looked a little smaller, but overall I still had the same shape that I had built over the years. It didn't just magically disappear. And there was something nice about not having that much inflammation and water retention in my body as well. But over time, I know that it wasn't necessarily a healthy way of living. Like I was starting to feel a little bit more pain in my joints because I wasn't moving as much, feeling quite stiff from sitting too long, and wanting to take less and less walks and just do nothing and watch TV, which is not necessarily a good way of living. So I knew I had to get back to the gym, but now that I had taken such a big break, it was going to be quite difficult, and it was going to be very painful, which was what I feared the most. And when you haven't worked out for that long, the soreness is next level. You know, what's really crazy is that right before I took this really long break, I had spent, I think, a full month without missing a workout at all. And that's been my New Year's resolution, is to improve my consistency. So I feel like in the first part of the year, I really was successful with that, and to just fall off my routine that badly for 6 weeks, I never would have expected that. I feel like I really had to adjust my mindset going into this, because otherwise I would have really been miserable the whole time. I would have felt so guilty about not going to the gym. So how I saw it is, I'm taking these 6 weeks no matter what, and we're gonna rebuild after that. So don't really think about it during this time, and really enjoy spending time with your family and traveling, and then we'll figure it out. And I think this is one of the reasons why I was able to be more present in the moment, and I didn't feel guilty at all about taking this break. And I really appreciated the time that I got to spend with my family, which is also why I would never regret this. Honestly, you can get back to training at any time. It's something you can rebuild, whereas the time you have with family, traveling, exploring, it's not something you can get back. Those memories you form, they're just something that's gonna stay with you forever. But that does bring me to the next step, which is rebuilding, and I am really nervous about this. I am actually filming this after going to the gym for the first time, so I'll be able to tell you how that went. Everyone always says there's muscle memory, right? It should be easier to rebuild compared to, let's say, a newbie. And although that is true, it doesn't make the process easier. I definitely felt like a newbie going back to the gym. My strength had really dropped, so I had to put my ego aside and use weights that I haven't used in a long time. Pop up my first 2 workouts up here, and although it doesn't seem like a very difficult workout, I was so sore that I had to take an extra recovery day before going back to the gym. And even now, we've been to the gym for a full week, So we've done 4 workouts, upper, lower, upper, lower. I still need 2 days between working out to recover. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges when you go back to the gym after such a long break, is you don't really know how your body's going to recover. So you don't know what volume you should do, you don't know what weights to do. But there are a few things that I have been doing to prioritize recovery. Obviously, going down in weight, that's one. Dropping the volume slightly as well, not in terms of reps, but in terms of sets and number of exercises that I do per workout. I also try to avoid certain exercises that I know are going to make me really sore. So free weights, barbell exercises are usually the ones that are the most taxing, as well as huge compound exercises. I try to use more of the machines. That way you're using less of your stabilizing muscles. And I also avoid any exercise where my muscle is in a really stretched position. For example, if I'm doing RDLs or if I'm doing lunges, I'll wait a couple weeks before I integrate those back into my workout. Otherwise, I would be miserable and in a lot of pain. This is actually week 2 of getting back to the gym. So I'm excited to see how that goes. I hope it's a lot less painful and I can push a little bit more, because it is so tempting to load more weight, but it's actually counterproductive, because if you don't recover well, you're not going to rebuild muscle as quickly. So I am really trying to maximize what I can get out of this training break, because in ways, it's almost like you're reacting like a newbie lifter. So hopefully it's actually beneficial and I can build some extra muscle in this process. I'm hoping that within 2-3 weeks I'll be back to my previous weight and hopefully be able to push even further. It's also been a really good break for my joints, obviously, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. This is basically where I'm at, and I'm gonna update you in a little while on how it's going. So have a really nice day. I miss you. See you in the next one.